I'm basically walking you through, all of you through simple steps, simple, very practical steps to adjust your thinking and get out of codependent behavior. Okay. So the first one, what are your core values? It seems so simple. It seems so simple. But what are your core values? Write them down. What are your core values? Because the thing with codependency is it argues you don't have a right to core values. You need to respect everyone else's core values, but in doing so, you neglect yours, or you're even unaware of yours, or you're shamed from even developing your own core values. So I don't know how pervasive this is, but that is always a great place to start is what are your core values? The second one, what limits and boundaries reflect these values? So what are your core values? And then what limits and boundaries reflect those core values? So for instance, if I value quality time, I need focused one-on-one connection, and I will honor it by a weekly date night without tech. Does that make sense? We can't get to the boundary unless we first identify what we value. And then our values tell us what we need. And then our boundaries help us advocate for what we need. Okay? So if I value quality time, I need focused one-on-one connection. And I will honor that by setting up a weekly date night without tech. That's one example of how to set a boundary based off of your core values. Another one is I value my well-being. So I need rest, play, and off hours. And I will honor that by not working on the weekends. Okay? Do you see what I'm saying here? Is this making sense? How boundaries need to be rooted in core values. Okay? Boundaries are not about controlling other people. Boundaries about keeping us safe and healthy and our relationships safe and healthy. So those are just a couple of examples of how to create boundaries based off of your core values. So what are your core values? What limits and boundaries reflect those core values? Number 3, become aware of your triggers and emotional awareness. So we want to bring emotional awareness and trigger awareness to the situation. Okay. And why I'm leaning into that is look at patterns. Is there anything that triggers you to go into a codependent spiral? Is it when your partner doesn't text you back right away? Is it when you don't get to call your partner and talk to them every day? What is kind of a trigger for you when you look back at your behaviors? What unsettles you? What triggers you? Okay, we want to bring awareness to the trigger and we want to bring awareness to the emotion. So if you can find a feelings wheel, you can download them for free online. I actually have a feelings wheel included in my bratting boundaries worksheet for dominance on Patreon in my brat taming bundle that you can look at. But bring emotional awareness, like literally sit down with yourself and look at the feelings wheel and identify, okay, I feel triggered because my partner said that they would text me by 8 p.m. and it's now 9:30 and they haven't texted me. So we're going to become aware of the trigger. Then we're going to become aware of how it makes us feel. So look at that feeling. I feel anxious. I feel rejected. I feel worthless. I feel whatever it is, insecure, whatever it is, identify it. We're going to bring emotional awareness and trigger awareness to this. And then I want you to reprocess this by asking yourself, what do you need? Okay. So if your submissive told you this is a protocol, a ritual, whatever, or just a girlfriend, let's not even add DS into this right now. Let's just say this is a girlfriend. And she said, hey, I'm going out. I'll text you when I get home. I should be home by 11. Okay. And she doesn't. And you're triggered. You are ping-ponging back and forth between fuck you and what is she doing? Don't leave me. Fuck you. Right? You're just all over the place. stop, go through this process, and then really go, what do I need here? What is this? What is this telling me about what I need? What is this telling me about what I need? Okay, right now, I need reassurance and validation. Okay, then you say, how can I meet that need? How can you reassure and validate yourself? Okay, I'm going to turn off my phone until the morning, and I'm going to tell myself and go back through all of the times that I've had good connections and I felt valued by people and I felt safe with people and people have been there for me. And I'm going to tell myself everything's going to be okay. Even if something shady is going on, everything is going to be okay. And we are strong enough to handle this. And we got this. Like, give yourself that validation and that reassurance. And also say distract. If you're in an anxious, preoccupied spiral, like I said, turn that phone off, distract. Do not ruminate. Do not ruminate. But that's another one. Trigger awareness, emotional awareness, and reprocessing the event or the trigger. Number 4. This is a big one for all my codependents out there. This is a big one. You're codependent, you struggle with setting boundaries. This is a big one. Recognize bitterness and resentment as signs of codependency and fatigue. Bitterness and resentment are always signs that you are overgiving and underreceiving. If you feel bitter and resentment in your relationship, you need to back off. Okay? Hey, Lime. Hey, girl. You need to back off and you need to go, okay, I am overgiving and underreceiving. I'm feeling bitter. I'm feeling resentful. It's now my responsibility to advocate for my needs. That's a big one. That's a big one. So identify when you start feeling bitter, when you start feeling resentful, do you feel it in your body anywhere? Is it this like heat and your throat gets tight? And like, what is it? Is it your stomach gets anxious and you feel like butterflies? Do you feel just heat and shaky and like you want to punch something? Like, what is it in your body? Because that'll help you identify it more. Okay. But where do you feel it in your body? But recognize bitterness and resentment as signs of fatigue and codependency, that you are overgiving and underreceiving. Now it's time for you to speak up, you to set boundaries, and you to self-advocate. Okay. And that brings us to number 5 is you're going to need to advocate for rest and self-care. Okay. If you've been overgiving and underreceiving, then you need to stop and you need to reset. It doesn't make you selfish. Self-advocacy and selfishness are 2 different things. This does not make you selfish. It makes you wise and it makes you healthy. Because if you keep trying to give and engage in a relationship when you are feeling bitter and resentful toward your partner, you're not going to get anywhere. There is going to be no healthy conversation that can take place. There's going to be no deep levels of honor and respect. There's not going to be devotion. It's just going to be bitterness and resentment. And now that divide grows and grows and grows. That disconnection grows and grows and grows.